Shalom Mishpachim, welcome to His Narrow Bridge. Our time together today is meant to immerse ourselves in the Word of Yahweh. It is meant to be a personal time of connection to the Word for each of us. I will read each word as translated in English in an interlinear Hebrew Bible. These shows are pre-recorded, so I will be in chat when they air. Feel free to use the chat to post anything that comes to your mind as we read the word. We will begin with prayer, followed by time for each of us to say our own personal prayers. Our beloved friend Alan Horvath taught us, make Elohim number one on a list of one. We pray in the name of Elohim, which includes Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh. Thank you, Elohim, for our lives and all you provide. We ask for a hedge of protection around our mishpacha as we pray and study. We love you dearly. We are your children. We come to you with questions as we seek our personal relationships with you. Please help us learn. If any darkness enters our time together, we ask you now to rebuke it. We will now listen to your word as we immerse ourselves in it and let it speak to us.
Acts chapter 28. And we afterwards learned that the island was called Melita. And the barbarians who inhabited it showed us many kindnesses, and they kindled a fire and called us all to warm ourselves because of the great rain and cold at that time. And Paul took up a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, and a viper, driven by the heat, came out of them and bit his hand. And when the barbarians saw it hanging on his hand, they said, "Certainly this man is a murderer. Although he was delivered from the sea, judgment will not allow him to live." But Paul shook his hand and threw the viper into the fire, and he received no harm. And the barbarians expected that he would suddenly swell and fall dead on the ground. And when they had looked a long time and saw that he received no harm, they changed their language and said that he was a deity. Verse 7. And there were lands in that quarter belonging to a man named Publius, who was the chief man of the island. And he cheerfully received us at his house 3 days. And the father of Publius was sick with a fever and diarrhea. And Paul went in to him and prayed and laid his hand on him and healed him. And after this event, others also in the island who were sick came to him and were healed. And they honored us with great honors, and when we left the place, they supplied us with necessities. And after 3 months we departed, sailing in a ship of Alexandria, which had wintered in the island, and which bore the signal of the twins. And we came to the city of Syracuse, and remained there 3 days. And from there we made a circle and arrived at the city Rhegium. And after 1 day the south wind blew favorably for us. And in 2 days we came to Puteoli, a city of Italy. And there we found brothers, and they invited us, and we remained with them 7 days. And then we proceeded towards Rome. And the brothers there, hearing of our approach, came out to meet us as far as the village called Appi Forum, and as far as the 3 taverns. And when Paul saw them, he gave thanks to Elohim and was encouraged. And we went on to Rome, And the centurion allowed Paul to reside where he pleased, with a soldier who guarded him. And after 3 days Paul sent and called for the principal Jews. And when they were assembled, he said to them, Men, my brothers, although I had in nothing risen up against the people or the Torah of my fathers, I was at Jerusalem delivered over in bonds to the Romans. Footnote 207. By his own confession, the Apostle Paul never spoke or taught against the Jewish people or the Torah, in direct contradiction to those who say he did. In Acts 23:6, he stated that he was a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Then in Acts 26:5, he said, I lived in the princely doctrine of the Pharisees. Paul makes the distinction that my righteousness is not now that from Torah, but that which is from faith in the Mashiach. Phil 3:1-8. Paul clearly differentiates between Torah written upon the heart, Jeremiah 31:33, by grace through faith, contrasted to following a traditional religion about Torah. Paul was emphatic. Do we then nullify Torah by faith? May it never be. On the contrary, we establish Torah. Romans 3:31. Faith opens our hearts so that Torah can live within our inward parts through faith in Mashiach Yeshua, according to the one new man. To those who willfully violate Torah and break the law, Yeshua will say, Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Matthew 7:23. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after days those, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their minds and on their hearts, write it, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Verse 18. And they, when they had examined me, were disposed to release me, because they found in me no offense deserving death. And as the Yehudians withstood me, I was compelled to utter an appeal to Caesar, but not because I had anything of which to accuse the people of my nation. For this reason I sent for you to come, that I might see you and might state these things to you. For it is on account of the hope of Israel that I am bound with this chain. They said to him, We have received no epistle from Judea against you, and none of the brothers who have come from Jerusalem have told us any evil thing of you. But we are desirous to hear from you what you think, for this doctrine we know is not received by anyone. And they appointed him a day, and many assembled and came to him at his lodgings. And he explained to them respecting the kingdom of Elohim, testifying and persuading them concerning Yeshua out of the Torah of Moshe and out of the prophets from morning till evening. And some of them listened to his explanation, while others refused to do so. And they went out from him, disagreeing among themselves. And Paul addressed to them this speech. Well did the Ruach HaKodesh, by the mouth of Yeshayahu the prophet, speak concerning your fathers, saying, Go to this people and say to them, Hearing you will hear, and will not understand, and you will see and will not comprehend. Verse 27. For the heart of this people is hardened, and their hearing they have made tedious, and their eyes they have closed, or else they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and be converted to me, and I should forgive them. Therefore be this known to you, that to the Gentiles is this redemption of Elohim sent, and moreover they will hear it. Verse 29 is non-existent in the Peshitta. Footnote 208. Verse 29 does not appear in Aramaic texts, nor in any early Greek manuscripts. Later editions place this verse in the margin, Murdoch. The additional verse was as follows: "And when he had thus said, the Jews retired, and there were great disputations among them." Old Latin, circa 2nd century, as well as the Vulgate, late 4th century, have this and some additional words. How this chain developed between Old Latin and the Peshitta may never fully be known. This indicates that the Peshitta could not have been translated from a singular Greek text. Peshitta sometimes agrees with Greek versions, one or another, and sometimes disagrees. Sometimes entire paragraphs have moved location, disproving the theory of a Greek primacy. Verse 30. "And Paul hired a house at his own cost, and resided in it 2 years, and there he received all that came to him. And he preached concerning the kingdom of Elohim, and taught boldly concerning our Master Yeshua Mashiach in complete freedom." Completion of the Acts of the Blessed Shlichim, that is, their histories.
Gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside. Oh yes, down by the riverside. You know, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside. To steady water. I ain't gonna study. Oh, study. No, study. Study more, no more. Well, study I ain't gonna study Don't you know I wanna meet my loving mother down by the riverside. I said down by the riverside. Hear me talking down by the riverside. Don't you know I wanna meet my loving mother down by the riverside. To study study. I'm proud about it. Study. No. Study. Study more. Study. Well. Study. No. Study. That's all.
"500 miles to the north of Nashville on the south side of Chicago, another musical revolution was brewing. A young piano player and songwriter named Thomas Dorsey started recording blues songs under the name Georgia Tom. And in 1928, he had a surprise hit with a racy song called It's Tight Like That. Dorsey formed a group called the Hokum Boys, and Hokum Blues became extremely popular. He made thousands, but when the Depression hit, he lost it all when his bank folded. This devastation, combined with his own serious illness, caused him to rethink his music. He merged the techniques of the blues with the message of salvation and began to compose masterpieces like Take My Hand, Precious Lord. Soon churches all over Chicago and elsewhere were singing a new type of song, and Dorsey was known as the father of black gospel music.
Down through the ages, gospel, what? What did they say it was? You mean to tell me you don't know that? Good news? On down through the ages, gospel was good news. Now, if you don't know that, I'll throw you out here myself.
The modern gospel music resulting from Dorsey's innovations is still sung at the National Convention of Gospel Choirs that Dorsey founded over 60 years ago.
Gospel music is exciting. It has spiritual fervor.
You can't sing gospel music really unless you've had an experience with the song that you're singing about.
Dorsey comes out of Atlanta, Georgia. At the time he leaves Atlanta, he's the most popular sort of red light district honky-tonk piano player. He goes to Chicago, and he is actually making blues and jazz records and having some success. At the same time this is going on, Dorsey is struggling with the sacred condition of his soul. But he has a condition, and his condition is whether or not he can make a living, because he writes the song, and it's a church song, and then he tries to sell it. It is not until he writes, I was standing by the bedside of a neighbor, and it's sung in the National Baptist Convention and becomes a hit, that he understands that there is a market.
Asking you if you would do me a favor. Kindly take this message to the other side. If you sin,
then he found the only way to get his music out was to begin to travel. And when he began to travel and people began to listen, they said, well, this sounds good. And all of a sudden you had an audience of people listening, and then that audience of people singing. And then when he traveled on further, somebody else said, gee, I'd like to do that too. People enjoying what he was doing, and they became followers. And it grew and grew and grew.
Come on, let's hear the national anthem of gospel singers everywhere. Lift your voice. Precious Lord, take my
Dr. Dorsey combined his learning of music of blues and the hymns. That was what made it radical back then, and that's why a lot of people consider him the father of gospel music, because he was bold enough to bring together that blues sound along with the gospel hymn, and therefore you had came gospel music, a new sound.
In the last 10 years of Dr. Dorsey's sickness, he wrote a verse that's not printed in any print. Precious Lord, I love your name.
when I look back from whence I came
To be in the presence of the man who wrote these songs that were internationally sung caused you to be in awe. That here I am in the presence of a man that has touched the lives of countless people all across the world.
take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on it.
For more information about these videos, look at the video description and click more. You can then have links to my YouTube channel and the YouTube playlist, which has all the Aramaic English New Testament videos, Bible Hub links, and Odiote. So this is useful because you can click a chapter and go word by word through the scriptures and get details about each word and where they are used throughout the Bible.